Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We got some bad news regarding the N54. Alright, so to start with, my car came home on a tow truck and I figured while I disassemble, I'll talk you through what happened. So I was at work, getting ready to leave. I started my car up and let it idle just to run the AC because it's so hot here in Houston. Left it idling for about 10 minutes. So when I got to the car, I heard a bit of a rattle sound, but it wasn't very different than your typical single mass flywheel sound, and also the sound of my Helix overdrive. So I didn't pay it much attention. So it was only slightly louder than what I was used to hearing, but at the same time, I was paying it some attention. I found it a little bit odd that it was making that sound. So I just figured I'd baby it home. The noise started to get a little bit concerning, so I was ready to pull into a parking lot anyway. I was a few blocks away from where I started off, and I was basically at idle. And I felt that the engine was about to cut out. So then it started to stumble a little bit unless you left it near idle. So then I just basically coasted into a parking spot. As soon as I got into the parking spot, I got a low pressure warning, low oil pressure on the iDrive. I scanned it via MHD to see if that was a significant code, if it was bad enough that it triggered a code. I didn't have a code, but I had the iDrive warning, so I immediately shut the car off. So it was literally only 2 or 3 seconds from the time I first got the warning for low oil pressure. So it shouldn't have had any damage, but right from then on, I went ahead and called the tow truck to not take a chance. Given the noise was similar to the chatter sound you'd get from the Helix overdrive at certain RPMs, I figured why don't I talk to Spool. So I described what happened, and he said that he's had 3 customers only with the 4 times overdrive kit that have experienced this. 2 manuals and 1 DCT car. There was 2 manuals and 1 DCT car with over 150,000 miles that experienced what I experienced. And they all had the 4 times Helix overdrive kit. So what he told me to expect is the timing chain that drives the oil pump and the vacuum pump also drives the Helix. And with enough mileage, eventually the plastic guide that puts tension on that system gets brittle and can break. But it has to be in extreme situations where you're running the 4 times overdrive kit and you got more than 150,000 miles and your manual, so you're putting extra shock on the chains when you shift and whatnot, versus a torque converter automatic, which would make that transition a little bit smoother and not shock the front chains. For you guys that aren't aware, the N54 has a pretty reliable timing chain setup. They don't really fail. But take the same timing chain setup and move it over to a 4-cylinder, which is not naturally balanced, and all of a sudden they fail like crazy. And they have to have a balance shaft. But still, this system itself is not necessarily super strong. It's basic in my opinion. But when you have an inline 6, which is naturally balanced, they have an easy life. They last 200,000 miles plus. Now I'm in a situation where I got to deal with the timing chains, but at 200,000 miles, probably a good idea anyway. So what I believe happened is the extra vibration from the Helix overdrive rattled that chain a little bit more than it was ever going to encounter, and it led to a failure. But it was the high mileage that kind of caused it to completely go. And it's the 4 times kit, which is kind of overkill for what I'm doing, except it allows you to run pure E85. You can run the 3 times kit and make similar power to what I'm making anyway. And he has no indicated failures on the 3 times kit, only the 4 times kit on high mileage cars. So keep that in mind. So this series is going to be a DIY on how to do the timing chains, both the oil pump timing chain, vacuum pump timing chain, as well as the main timing chains. And we're also going to do the oil pan gasket and rod bearings. For you guys that want to follow along when you're going to do your timing chains for maintenance, the valve cover bolts are all E10. Normally this is very brittle, but I've already replaced mine. Usually doesn't come off like that. So I already have a valve cover gasket video where I go over this in detail, but I'm still summarizing. So I got all the perimeter E10s, there's some in the middle. Then you have studs that are 10 mil, 4 of them, that actually are your grounding point for your ignition harness. Correction, there's actually 3. If I got them all, I should be able to just pry this up right here. So I was just counting on my memory here, but I'm going to take that bar out of the way. Should have done that originally. So that's E14 on the strut tower, E18 at the cowl. So looking at these chains and guides, for the mileage, they don't look bad. And I didn't expect them to. There's hardly any slack here. No real apparent wear, but like I said, this engine is so balanced. So inline-6 motors are so smooth that they're able to balance out naturally. And that causes these chains to last pretty much the life of the car. And the guides don't really experience excessive wear just by design, which is really nice. Now take this exact same system, copy it over to the N55, lop off 2 cylinders and make it a 4-cylinder, include a balance shaft, then you have an N20 or N26. Those things fail at 70,000 miles, 120,000 miles. You're crazy to not have already replaced this chain. If you lift up here, stock, it would have been stretched out like crazy. You'd be able to get so much slack, it would feel like crap. The guides would look a little rough too. They may have collapsed and vibrated themselves apart and cracked and became brittle. The vibration of the 4-cylinder, just because it's not naturally balanced the way an inline-6 is, and all the forces don't counteract each other and balance each other out on a 4-cylinder, this is a bad system, but it works really well in this car. Now, there's a secondary chain. This is to drive the timing. There's another chain that drives the oil pump, vacuum pump, and is driven off the crankshaft. That system normally never fails either. You could replace this chain and actually leave the original chain for life because it doesn't fail. But when you introduce external vibrational forces, such as the Helix overdrive kit that I put in, you're kind of asking for some trouble unless you do maintenance. I have 200,000 miles. I have the 4x kit, and I had a timing guide fail. It vibrated too much and caused that to fail. My main chain is fine. My timing is fine. But that's what I experienced here. Not sure if you've heard about it, but the earlier N54s had a cam ledge issue, or even the N52s. This should have the update, and I've never had a code or an issue with the cam ledges, so I'm going to keep these on the car originally. I'm just going to change the chain the guides. I was debating doing that, but if I'm going to be in here, I might as well do it. So the chain, the guides, the lower guide and the lower chain, the oil pan gasket, and the rod bearings. I only had the motor running for like 2 or 3 seconds when I got the low oil pressure warning, and it was also just momentary. It came right back because the chain's still on there and it was just not spinning the oil pump as fast as it should have. But regardless, we'll see how those rod bearings look after 200,000 miles, and hopefully they don't look any different just because I had a couple seconds of no oil pressure at idle speed. So this will be the introduction to the series. Got the following kit off Amazon. So this is the cam lock tool. This is for an N54. You put it flat on the motor and these pegs have to lock up. These 2 holes here, that's for the N54. You place it right here. That's gonna lock your cam phasers or your Vano system. This is gonna lock the camshafts. So not too many people have an issue with the crank hub on the N54s, but there is an updated design that's designed not to slip. It has like a diamond cut friction face to allow for a better bite when you torque everything down. So they updated it for the S55s primarily, but it's the same part for the N54 and N55. Once you start making crazy torque, it's not impossible to spin the crank hub, but it's mostly from high RPMs, and the S55 being a bit more of an aggressive engine, especially when coupled to DCT, it gets slip. But I'll be showing you how to update your crank hub on the N54 as well. Next, I'll take the fan out and we'll see how much working room we have to take all the pulleys off and all the accessories. And then I'm gonna put the engine brace across the top, take off the motor mounts, jack the car up, take out the subframe, take out the oil pan, and then we're gonna tackle the job from below. We're also gonna change the rod bearings and see how they look after 200,000 miles, and also after what just happened to my motor. So I figured, let's conclude this video here. It's an introduction to the series. I wanted to just talk you through me pulling the valve cover off and explaining what happened. It just comes with the territory when you start modifying your car beyond its original intended design. I don't think any N54 would fail the way mine just did. It's because I have the Helix kit, but I have the 4x kit, which was overkill from the get-go. If you get the 3x kit, you probably never have this manual or automatic, but I have the 4x kit, and I wanted it just to be there in case I ever go single turbo and whatnot. And if I'm gonna run that setup, time to do the chains. So I'll be working with ECS Tuning on this project. It's probably going to be a 3 or 4 part series, which talks about how to do the timing chains, how to do the oil pan gasket and all the rod bearings for maintenance, especially as you approach a couple 100,000 miles. And I'm going to make this into a playlist in case you're catching this after the fact. If this is the first video you're catching of mine, please consider subscribing. I do upload regularly. Thanks for watching.